Hello there, I'm Colonel Failure and this is A Train 9 version 3. So, when we were last here, we were talking about adding passenger services to our kind of convoluted rail system that we've got going on. And as you can see from the train we just passed, passenger services are up and running. In fact, we're running them in both directions. Now, I didn't manage to solve the timetable issue, as again you can see by the fact that there's one queuing. So what I've got instead is we're running every train out of every station at the same departure times. Basically 7 AM, midday, 5 PM and 11 o'clock at night. Now, this is not perfect, and it does lead to a situation where you end up queuing, but as you can see, I've had to wait here since about 4:30, knowing full well that train will depart on Monday morning at 7 AM. That's not ideal. And this is in part due to the kind of the disparate distances between different stations. There is no way to easily... Don't get me wrong, there's plenty of ways to do it, but there's no way to easily schedule all your services to work in harmony with one another. I think when I've got 2 to 3 hours to spare, I'll go through and I'll schedule to the minute to make sure that trains don't end up in a situation like this. Equally, you know, this is also part of the fact that we're running only 5 days a week. If we were running 7 days a week, this would be far less of an issue, because the longest potential wait, even with the the very limited methodology I'm using right now, the longest wait you would have is maybe 2-3 hours stuck behind a train at 5 o'clock in the morning waiting for it to depart. Let's get past the weekend, shall we? Let's make so it's something actually happening. So I thought I'd start today with a brief tour around the city as it's growing, and it is growing pretty dramatically, to the extent that our biggest problem right now is power. We are sticking up power plants galore all over the place, and we're still not quite meeting demand. And when there isn't enough power being provided, people are reticent about actually building up any new buildings, because if there isn't sufficient power, why would anyone want to move in? So that's a problem. You see this nice tower block over here? Yeah, I built that. That's one of mine. I've started sticking a couple of subsidiaries up to poke a little bit more life into the city. Not that it really needs it. We're really doing rather well. The next thing that I've probably got to do is to expand the number of depots we've got again at the major cities, so that there are the resources there for the AI to build up some of the really big stuff. So if you think about a large depot will hold 72 units of construction material, and then what would get me out of trouble for power immediately would be to, stick a couple of tidal plants up. They provide the same as 12 solar plants, worth every penny. Don't get me wrong, the cost involved is excessive, but that's 160 materials, and even with 2 large depots in a city area, that's only 144. So I've got a little way to go on that front. All of the major kind of power structures cost big bucks. Meanwhile, I'm throwing solar panels around like they're going out of fashion, and we're still not quite. If I bring the power report up, I've just increased the power output again, and the demand is all over the place. It's don't get me wrong, that's nice, because it means that there's plenty of demand. Look at this. Look. It's an actual city. An actual city and what have you. So generally speaking, pretty positive on that front. The downside, of course, is that if we go to our economic information, my train services aren't making any money. Now, I'm fairly convinced that that's, for the most part, due to goods services. But of course, you've got to shift your goods around the place. in order to make any new buildings. Equally, you'll notice that you know, the factories are actually not making much cash, and that's because not as much stuff's being built. So warehousing's doing okay, but not brilliantly. The power plant loss is because I built no more power plants. I built a cultural centre. Yeah, well, it's a cinema, but you know, they call it a cultural centre. But yeah, you know, we've got actual progress. Shall I get off this train and actually show you around a little better? I think I probably will. Okay, right, quit the train view. Okay, so this will have changed somewhat radically since you last remember it. If we bring up the train kind of profit chart, and unfortunately this is the best granularity you can get on the nature of your services. So if I pause it judiciously here, right, so these blue chaps with the yellow nose, they're our good services, right? And even on a good day you've dropped off 24 grand's worth of gear, you've still run up 25 grand's worth of costs. So they're costing me money every day, no matter what. You know, the profit on goods is not great, but you do it in order to make profit off passengers. Now, here we go, look. Number 4 here, 10 grand profit. That's pretty much broken even. 2 grand profit, 6 grand down, but over. I mean, this is down at the moment, but as soon as it turns up into a station, if we keep an eye on it here, when that turns up at the station, given it's got 1,200 passengers on board, that should be about break even. It appears to be stuck behind another train. There we go. There you go. See, 21 grand. And obviously that's come in the following day because it was waiting for a train to leave. But for the most part, you know, passenger services can be pretty profitable. Let's have a look at these ones. So this from where are we? 15 down to 19. These are the trains that are running on the secondary route. So the anti-clockwise version. Is that right? I think that's right. It's this this outside, the far right hand. No, thank you. The far left hand side rail is the route I'm talking about. So that is in fact anti-clockwise. If I'm looking at the right part of the city, what does it really matter? That's the one that I set up most recently, and as you can see, you know, they're doing about the same as the passenger services going the other way. So all in all, you know, that's doing all right. See this big old thing? That's one of mine as well. You know, it's only been running a little while, but I set it up in the hope that it spurred on a bit more growth in this city. In fact, if I build out some more roads here, that's the other thing I've noticed, that, you know, where I'm coming up short is an absence of places to actually, you know, set up your glamorous new home. But you know, we're working on that. There we go. Let's see if that doesn't spur some life into proceedings. There we are. Fabulous. Build some things for me. Yeah. So I mean, they're out of resources at the moment anyway, but that's in part due to me building this whacking great tower block. And of course, you know, the more population that you get going into different places, the more profitable your passenger service is. And you know, when this chap takes off in the morning, number 7, let's have a look at him for an example. So he'll it's the weekend again, right? Let's get it through to Monday. Right, so when he takes off at 7 AM, he should be carrying a negligible number. Okay, this area still hasn't grown enough yet. 1512 is the capacity of these trains, including standing room. So obviously every time they leave, I want them to be getting as close to 1512 as possible in order to maximise my profits. Right, let's continue touring about the place. Let's close this down. Yeah, as I was saying, that's about as granular as you can get into your rail services. If we go to the report and the full balance sheets, you know, you've just got railroad costs and railroad returns. Doesn't tell me whether passengers are doing well, doesn't tell me whether it's my stations costing me stuff. it's just not enough information. You would think that out of all this stuff here, that there would be a tremendous amount of information in there. Not so much. Not so much. I've got a bill for 80 grand, 90 grand to pay. Yuck. Good. Right. Let's just have a quick look at my real estate that I've got going on. So, you know, 13% profitability from my AR office. That's good. How are we doing here? Yeah, you see, this is the problem. If the city were using more resources, I would be making more money from those because they would be tapped out all the time, and they're just not. Although that said, that's going to be largely based on the time before. I mean, it's literally in the last couple of game months that I've splurged on building some subsidiaries. So with any luck, they'll bounce back a bit next year. But you can't run in such a way that you're hemorrhaging 50% profitability on these things. The depots are doing all right-ish overall. We could probably do with getting a few more up, maybe. What's going on here? Where is that one? Is it this full one here? Maybe. Anyway, I don't want to build any more subsidiaries for the moment. Cultural. The cinema complex is actually profitable in its first year. Go on, nice. And then we've got apartment buildings, which isn't profitable yet, but that area is still growing, so it'll break in eventually. And obviously, power plants, just printing money. And to be honest, I could just keep things moving and continually buy power plants, and everything would be grand. Oh, I bought an office as well. Hold on, let's have a quick look at that. Where are the office buildings? There you go, so that's profitable as well. Alright, good. Nice. I wanted to build a whacking great skyscraper, but I didn't have the building resources to make it. And plus, that would have been, you know, a foolish waste of money. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put down a couple more depots in the more developed areas. So we've got... So if each of these is a block of 8... Right, so that's, what do we got here? 24, 48, 72. So we've got 2 blocks of 72, fully stashed. Now, if I put another large depot down there, this place would have enough to build some of the full-on fire-breathing strength constructions. Whether the AI wants to or not is another question. But they'll have the space to do so. The thing is, have I got room to stick this depot? Yes, I have. Some of it is just outside the circle, but the rest of it isn't. There we go. Okay, so we'll get that place in there. Let's see if this actually has any kind of an effect. So at 140, if we look at some of the big stuff, let's go apartment buildings here. So 140, what we're looking at is material consumption. So this high-rise here, look at that. I think that would go down rather nicely. So that's what, 220. So at the moment I've got, what have I just taken up to? I've taken up to 216. So we certainly can't build this, you know, this monument here. Look at the size of it. But that takes up to 216, which means that what comes in our range? So up from 140 to 216. Actually, this would have been something that would have been wise to look at beforehand. Anything between 140 and 260. 150. There you go. What do we got here? Designer hotel. Offices. Oh, all these offices are pretty standard pricing. There we go. We can get this high-rise 1. It's okay, I suppose. What else we got? There we go. High-rise 2. That's a bit better. We might see some of those turn up. 216. How much is it? What does this 500 one get us? Look at the size of that. Great stuff. Or a 600. Hefty. What's this? A 700. A 700. These are all fairly magnificent looking. And an 800. There we go. Just towering over everything. It's only 350 million as well. Actually, that you might go, only 350. Actually, that's not much. What else we got going on? Let's go. Leisure facilities. Yeah, looking in the same area. A horse racing track for 700. Probably not. Western style theme park. Kind of large. Complete with a marina. Nice. Sports facilities, I think that doesn't quite bring the stadium in line. Where's the stadium? 380. No, but it does bring the track in. Cultural stuff, which also covers some, you know, some entertainment bits and pieces as well. There we go. We could bring in a pagoda if we wish to. So as you can see, you know, there's bits and pieces here that will contribute. You know, we've provided a little bit more opportunity for these guys to grow if they decide to go for some of the big stuff. And largely what's going to drive that is whether they've got the power to do so. However, that's a good point there. So we need 160, which previously I couldn't afford to place a tidal plant, which I could just slip in there, or maybe the other side if I can reach all of those depots, and resolve my power problems for quite a while. Let's have a quick look. So, you know, we're already pushing the 120,000 kind of kilowatt hours that we're chucking out at the moment. So there we go. This is, you know, up and coming stuff. If we go back to our original stuff, so around District 1, which is getting increasingly tricky to locate, given that everything is starting to build up pretty well. And this, nope, steady. Where are we here? Is it? This isn't it, is it? It is this. Okay, cool. So this is District 1. What have we got? We've got... Oh, these large ones can actually carry more. Oh, that's fun to know. Okay. So what's that? That's 32. 32, 164, 128. So we've got 128 there, plus 142, which makes 260. Okay, that's quite cool. That's quite a lot, as it happens. Now, all I need to happen here is for someone to go like, I'm going to build something tremendous. Actually, it wouldn't hurt if the AI decided to build some power once in a while. That, you know, that wouldn't be a bad thing, would it? But there we go. So this episode has largely been about touring the city while we're waiting for things to happen. We're waiting for profitability to properly kick in. Which it's just not going to do while my trains are costing me money. Admittedly, you know, they've cost me 8 million over the course of the year. That's not so much. It really isn't. Especially given that, you know, I've spent a hefty amount on getting to this point. So let's. Where are we? We're in March. What's my tax bill this year? Balance sheet 90 million. Let's get that paid, shall we? And God bless 300 speed. And don't get me wrong, you know, this is very much skip to the end in terms of watching your city grow. Here we go. See, look. So if this large factory was actually selling out on a regular basis, then it would be making considerably more profit. Whereas everybody seems to be taking from the small factories first, and that's okay. I guess that's okay. The other thing that I could do, of course, is put longer trains on there, which might not be the worst idea in the world. 60 million left to pay. Now, obviously, I'm not going to have enough to pay that if that ends up being what I have to part with next year. So there may be another dip into the stock market in the near future. I know it's not ideal, but you know, we want to stay afloat. We want to see what we can actually build. And in an upcoming episode, what I think I'll probably focus on is expanding out again. Although, you know, I've made a bit of a rod for my own back on that regard in letting the city build up to the degree that it has done. The other option, of course, is that I could build somewhere new. Who knows? Anyway, let's have a look and see if... yeah, so we've exceeded the power supply again, which means more stuff's being built. I mean, that helps in terms of making our railroad services profitable, at least on the passenger side of things. But yeah, I mean, I'm running my goods in a very unprofitable fashion. This circuit method that I'm using it's a very poor way to make any money. So maybe what I'll do next time is maybe I'll take all of the goods trains off and see if passengers alone can make us some money. So why not tune in then? I've been Colonel Failure. Thanks very much for tuning in today. I know it's not been a great deal happening in this episode, but hopefully it's been interesting. Leave a like and a subscribe if you've not done so already, and we'll catch up soon. Thank you very much. Cheerio.